Hey guys, welcome back. So this week I decided to do something super easy. I only used 3 eyeshadows to complete this look right here from the new Vice 4 palette. It was super easy and fun, so make sure to stay tuned and see how it all comes together. Enjoy. I already primed Susie's eyes using one of my favorites, and then next I'm going to grab that gorgeous Vice 4 palette and my MAC 224. And the first shade I'm going to grab from this palette is Bitter, which is that bright tangerine orange. Now in windshield wiper motions from left to right, I'm just going to build that color into her crease. I really like this as a transition shade because the pigmentation is buildable, so it really gives you an opportunity to build that color to however strong you want it. And it definitely works on all skin tones, so that's another reason I really like it. For the next step, I'm going to grab my MAC pencil brush in the color Delete, which is a dark earthy brown. Now I'm going to work that color into her crease. I'm going to lift her lid a little bit, as you can see, just so I can really define that crease. If you haven't noticed, Susie's eye shape is a little bit more on the hooded side, so this is one of my favorite tricks for really opening up hooded eyes and making them look a little bit bigger than they actually are. So I always lift the lid with my thumb and just really work that color into the crease. If you're doing this at home on yourself, you would just tilt your head slightly back to expose that crease even more. Try this trick at home and you'll definitely see your eye looks more open. Next, to give her crease a little bit more of that smoky effect, I'm going to grab my Chanel Precision Blender and that shade Delete one more time. I'm just going to work that into the socket and windshield wiper motions. I noticed that this color Delete really builds. It's not so strong from the get-go, so it really gives you an opportunity to build it as smoky as you want it to. And I actually really like that because sometimes you don't want your shadow to be so strong. Now I'm going to add more of that transition shade, and this is going to help to blend everything even more and to give this look that airbrush effect. So I'm going to be switching between my MAC Fluffy and that Chanel Precision Blender. I'm going to use whatever product is left on that brush just to help blend everything together. When you do this, it really gives your eyeshadow that diffused airbrushed effect. It's one of my favorite things to do. For the eyelid, I'm just going to grab the shade Low. I'm going to really concentrate that color on my Sephora Pro number 15. This is a chunky glitter shade, so I'm definitely going to spray it down to avoid fallout. Speaking of fallout, I got super paranoid, so I decided to bake underneath Susie's eye using my favorite Laura Mercier translucent powder. I never used this eyeshadow palette before, so I'm not sure how the eyeshadows work, so I definitely needed to do this just in case. Now that that situation is under control, I'm just going to get started with the eyes, laying it on pretty thick just to get a really nice payoff. You may be wondering why the payoff of this shadow is more on the brown side versus that glittery silver shade that you saw in the palette, and that's because the undertone of the shadow itself is a dark earthy brown. Most glitters that are pressed into a shadow form are mixed with another shadow just to help with blendability, and that way it's not so chunky and choppy. So make sure you do swatches before you apply just to see what the undertone of the shadow is itself. If you only want the glitter to shine through, I always recommend using black as a base. It works every time. Next, using my Nars xoxo brush, I'm going to remove all of that fallout from that shadow and also any of that excess powder from baking, and what you're left with is flawless. Next, to smoke out the lower lash line, I'm going to grab my Nars Precision Blender in the shade Bitter. I'm also going to grab my MAC pencil brush in the shade Delete. Starting at the root of the lashes, I'm just going to really build that smokiness from left to right. And to give it a really soft airbrushed effect, I'm going to grab Bitter, and these two colors blend together to create a perfect transition shade. For mascara, I'm using one of my favorites. Susie's lashes already naturally are insanely thick and long. When you apply mascara on her, it already looks like she's wearing false lashes. So this is definitely one of my favorites to use on her because it always makes her lashes look amazing. I can never find eyelashes to fit Susie to save my life. They're always so overwhelming and just eat up her whole eye. I decided to cut up one of my favorite pairs of natural lashes and just do an individual application, and I love how it turned out. It was very natural. For eyeliner, I'm just going to use a cream formula by Anastasia and my favorite Ride or Die eyeliner brush by Bobbi. Because I cut up those lashes into individuals, there's no lash band to conceal, so I'm just going to do a normal eyeliner application, nothing too crazy, just enough to enhance her eye shape. Next, for the waterline, I'm going to grab a creamy white liner by Nars. This is going to help to open up her eye even more because she does have a smaller eye shape. I don't want to make her eyes look smaller, I want to make them look bigger. Next, grabbing my Nebli mascara, I'm just going to add tons of thickness and fullness to her lower lash line. I always go heavier with this, especially when I'm doing a smoky eye. I decided to do one more thing to her eyes, so I'm going to make the inner corners pop using an illuminator by Bobbi Brown and my Nars Precision Blender. I'm going to go really heavy into the tear duct area because I really wanted that inner corner to be really bright. I wanted you to see it a mile away, so as you can see, I'm going to really pack it on heavy. I love the effect that it had. It really opened up her eyes. Susie loves getting her nose contoured, so I decided to do this part on camera. I'm going to mix two colors together to get the perfect shade. For a more natural nose contour, I'm going to map out her nose using the back of the brush and her nostrils. And I'm going to use that brush to show me where I need to place that dark shade. I always use this to map out her nose. So I'm going to work that color starting from the bridge of her nose and working my way down to her nostril area. This is going to keep it more on the natural side. I don't believe in that plastic surgery heavy nose contouring. There's nothing wrong with it. I just don't think it's very flattering. So I'm going to keep it really soft and really natural. This trick really helps you to find the perfect placement for more of a soft natural contour, one that doesn't look so in your face. This brush in particular is my favorite because as you can see, it's so thin, it fits into the little bridge area really nice and it blends like a dream. This brush is synthetic, so it does work with liquids, creams, and powders. That's why I love Make Up For Ever brushes because they really work with everything. And also just look how blended it is. I love how nice and smooth her nose looks and how natural it is. To finish up her nose, I'm just going to contour the bottom. I use a V to help slim the nose, especially the lower region. Try this trick at home and you'll see that it's going to really help to slim the nose even more. Last but not least, I'm going to finish up the face with some illuminator, starting at the bridge of the nose. This is going to add more light to the center of the bridge, which is going to make her nose look even more slim. So if you love nose contouring, don't forget this step. And if you're not sure where to place your illuminator on your cheek, I always use my index finger just to feel for that bone. You want to apply that directly on the bone itself just to get the most flattering effect. I always go back with my finger just to melt that product into the skin even more. Alright guys, that's a wrap. Thank you so much for tuning in. I really hope that you guys enjoyed it and learned a lot. Make sure to check the description box below for all the products listed. Also, make sure to comment and subscribe. I'd love to hear from you guys. Let me know what you thought about this simple 3-shadow look. Make sure to stay tuned. I will see you guys next week. Same time, same place.